Hey, welcome. So today we're tackling something huge for any child sponsorship organization. How do you take a single generous donation and turn it into a dedicated long-term partnership that can literally change lives for years and years to come? And really, it all boils down to this, right? This isn't just about raising more money. It's about building a real community of passionate advocates. So how do we actually do it? Well, let's break down the roadmap. All right, so here's our game plan for this explainer. We'll kick things off with the challenge itself. Then we'll map out the donor's path, really dig into their motivations, explore some super actionable strategies, and finally, we'll look at how to measure what actually matters. Okay, first up, the Donor Upgrade Challenge. And listen, the whole point here isn't just about getting a bigger check. It's about deepening the relationship and moving way beyond a simple transaction to become a true, genuine partnership. And this is exactly why it's so important. Donors who feel that real, genuine connection, the ones who become true advocates for your cause, they end up contributing so much more over their lifetime. They're not just supporters anymore. They're really part of the mission. Okay, so how do we actually build that connection? Well, the secret is to have a map of the donor journey. When you think of it this way, it helps us guide supporters on a path that feels natural, instead of just pushing them toward a goal. So this journey, it really happens in 4 key stages. First, you've got acquisition, which is when they make that first gift, testing the waters. Then comes engagement, where they start interacting more, opening your emails, and beginning to feel that connection. After that is retention, where they feel truly valued and they can see the impact they're having. And only after you've built all that trust do you get to the upgrade stage, where asking for more support just feels like the next logical step in your partnership. Now, to be a good guide on this journey, you absolutely have to know what makes your donors tick. This is all about getting to the why behind their generosity, because that's what lets us communicate in a way that really truly connects with them. And when you really dig into what motivates someone to give, you find some incredibly powerful stuff. For some people, it's all about that direct personal connection with a sponsored child, getting the letters, seeing the photos. For others, it's driven by their faith, or a deep-seated desire to break the cycle of poverty, or maybe even their own past experiences with hardship. Tapping into these core values is everything. And it goes without saying, right? Not all donors are at the same point in their journey. This is where segmentation is an absolute game changer. I mean, you'd never talk to a brand new donor who needs reassurance about their impact in the same way you'd talk to a loyal long-term supporter who might be ready to help fund a whole community project. All right, we get the journey, we get the motivations. So now for the really fun part. What are the actual strategies, the tools in the toolbox that turn that connection into real commitment? Let's take a look. Technology today, it's not about replacing that human touch. It's actually the very thing that makes it possible on a massive scale. The right tools let you manage thousands of relationships with a level of personalization that would have been impossible just a few years ago. I mean, just think about what this unlocks. With a platform like Help You Sponsor, you're not just guessing anymore. Imagine automatically sending a personalized thank you note on a donor's anniversary, or using data to see exactly who is most engaged and probably ready for a conversation about upgrading. This is how you create a seamless personal experience for everyone. And this is where the magic really happens. The most powerful approach is when you combine these two things. You use data to know what to say, like referencing a project they funded or a milestone their sponsored child just hit. But then you deliver that message with a personal touch, a really heartfelt email, or even a handwritten note. That kind of thing can make an incredible, lasting impression. Recognition is another huge tool in your belt, but you gotta know it's not a one-size-fits-all kind of deal. Every method, from a simple personal thank you all the way up to a tiered giving program, has its own set of pros and cons. The key is finding the perfect mix for your organization and your donors, balancing the impact you want to make with the resources you actually have. But at the end of the day, beyond all the fancy strategies and the data, what really truly deepens that commitment? This quote from Jeff Nickel just nails it. It's not just about what the money does, it's about how it makes the recipients feel. That emotional bridge is what completely transforms a donor's perspective. Okay, last section. So, how do we actually know if any of this is working? Well, you've got to measure what matters. Tracking the right metrics is absolutely essential if you want to fine-tune your approach and make sure you're guiding donors effectively on their journey. Think of these as the vital signs of your program's health. You're not just counting dollars and cents here. You're actually measuring relationships. Are people sticking around? That's your retention rate.
Are they deepening their commitment? That's your upgrade conversion. Altogether, these KPIs tell the whole story of your long-term impact, which ultimately gets captured in the donor lifetime value.
And look, I know these metrics can feel a little abstract, but they all lead back to real tangible impact. An impact that can start with a number as simple as this one. $40 a month might not sound like a huge amount, but for a child, it can mean access to life-changing resources. We're talking food, education, and medical care. And the payoff for keeping these donors engaged, it is absolutely staggering. On average, those long-term advocates contribute twice as much as one-time donors. This chart really drives that point home. Building relationships isn't just the nice thing to do, it's also the smartest financial strategy. And what happens when you nurture these relationships at a massive scale? The results are just wow. Just look at Plan International. In 2022, their focus on sponsorship meant that over 1.2 million children were being supported across the globe. That number isn't just some statistic, it's the direct result of building millions of lasting partnerships. You know, maybe the single most important mindset shift is wrapped up in this final thought from Jeff Nickel. A donation should never, ever be seen as the end of the road. It's the beginning of the next chapter. A donor who feels connected to their impact is going to want to continue that journey. Our job is simply to nurture it.
So I want to leave you with this question to chew on. If you think of every single interaction with a donor, every email, every report, every thank you as just one step on a much longer and more meaningful journey, what's the very next step you're going to take to guide them?